Welcome to Brooks Realty Group. I'm Nolan Brooks, broker owner of Brooks Realty Group. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we're here to help you every step of the way.
And I'm Madison Alexander, a licensed realtor here in the state of Missouri. Subscribe to our channel to see more tips, tours, and real estate insights. Today's topic is going to be what we do for our owners. What are our service options? Nolan, I know we kind of wanted to go over today what are the biggest things we help our owners with. So what do you think are like the three main big hurdles that a lot of owners have a hard time dealing with?
Sure. So possibly the biggest thing we help owners with is placing the right tenants in the right property.
Absolutely.
So many owners just don't appreciate, one, how hard it is to find a good tenant, and two, how important it is to screen out bad tenants. So I own my own rental properties, and my philosophy is that I would much rather have it go vacant for another week or more than place the bad tenant. Because now with material costs and contractor costs being so incredibly high, one bad tenant can easily cost you $5,000.
Yeah.
And that, for many owners, that's enough to wipe out any profit they were hoping to make for an entire year or sometimes even more.
Yeah.
So here at Brooks Realty Group, we make sure that we do a background check on every tenant. We check their criminal history, their credit score. We check for evictions, their past. We contact their previous landlords. All of that to build a comprehensive picture of who we're dealing with.
Definitely, yeah. And another thing is that it saves you a lot of time. When we're the ones doing that, especially doing the showings, everything, that's my job, my 9 to 5 here, other than being a real estate agent. I show the rental properties. And so if I was an owner having to do that all the time, sometimes in the summertime, I'm at a property for 2 hours at the same property, just doing back to back to back showings. And if you've got multiple properties or multiple units, that can be really, really time consuming.
And especially when I first got into the property management space, I would kind of trust my gut a lot more. Now I absolutely don't, because people will lie to you, to your face. They will lie to you, and they will sell you whatever they think they need to in order to get you to give them the keys to that property. And it's so crucial to weed out those people before you give them control of the property, because once they get control of the property, then to get them out again, you're either looking at dealing with a bad tenant for an entire year, or spending, potentially thousands of dollars between the actual legal fees, right, and also the months that your property's vacant or not income producing, because you're waiting for the eviction to go through and they're not paying their rent.
Right.
So it's so crucial to. So I was in the Army, and one of the things that, oh my God, I heard it so many times, it made me want to start an M4. But what my sergeants would always say is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that seems very counterintuitive, but if you slow down at the beginning to do things the right way, then at the end, you're going to be a lot faster than if you tried to rush through it from the beginning, and then you end up having to go back and redo things from the very start.
That makes sense. Yeah. Have you ever had to deal, let's say we take on a new owner and maybe they have a tenant that's already in there and they've already kind of caused a problem, or, something like that. Can you think of any stories where, that's happened?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's 2 stories that I can think of off the top of my head. One of them was the tenant was already placed, and the owner let them move in because they felt bad for them. The owner gave them a car, he gave them a place to stay and a job.
Oh, wow.
And then the guy just never paid any of his rent. He refused to use the brand new HVAC system that the owner had installed, and instead insisted on using the kitchen stove
What?
to heat. Yeah, absolutely. The guy used kitchen stove to heat the apartment. He was on drugs, of course, because why wouldn't you be? And then he brought in his drugged out relatives, and they were all having drugs in the house together.
Oh my God.
So
And they wrecked it.
oh yeah, absolutely. They destroyed the flooring. They just ruined the place. We ended up getting an eviction order, and then I went out to check on the property, and nobody was there. Well, there was a couple people there, but they weren't on the lease.
Right.
So I politely asked them to leave, and thankfully they did. But they called him, and then he tried to get back into the property. But I was standing in the doorway, and I was like, "No, you're not allowed to come in." So we called 911.
Oh my God.
And he placed hands on me, and that was not fun for him. In case it may not come across, but I'm not petite.
I'm not petite.
I'm aware of that. And so after failing to push through me, he tried to break in through the front door, which he had barricaded. So
he barricaded the front door.
So he had barricaded the front door to keep us out, but I came in the side door, which was the door they had been using, because, obviously.
Right.
So he ended up smashing the door off the hinges about the time the police got there. And then, he left just before the police got there. And then the other two tenants that he abandoned there, or
later.
occupants, I guess occupants would be more accurate.
Right, because they weren't on the lease.
Were arrested because they had warrants out for their arrest.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, so that's one example.
That's what no screening will get you.
Become a property manager, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Absolutely.
And so the second story that jumps out at me is we had a tenant that we did not place. We inherited the property,
right.
And the previous property manager did not do annual or semi-annual inspections.
Right.
So we recently got possession of the property again. Thankfully, we didn't have to do an eviction, but the house is absolutely filthy. There's cigarette smoke on every surface.
Sounds about right.
It's absolutely ridden with bed bugs. So last
I think
week,
I saw pictures.
Yeah,
of that one.
yeah, and they might be in the walls. So that's awesome. And then last week I was doing the checkout inspection, and I had a Tyvek suit on with like latex gloves and booties and like a mask and everything, because it was
braver man than I.
Well, frequently we hire other people to do the checkout inspections for us, but on stuff like that, I'd rather do it myself instead of asking someone else to do something unpleasant.
Yeah.
That I know they don't want to do. So yeah, I just take care of that myself.
Did you feel itchy for like years afterwards?
I kind of did. I stripped down in the driveway and threw all of like the Nomex suit and my latex gloves and everything into the trash can there, and then
there you go. Like
sprayed myself down with every bug killing substance I could come up with.
Oh my god!
But it was interesting. It was fun, I guess.
Super fun.
Yeah,
I'm really
fun.
Jealous. Why didn't you send me out there?
Next time?
Hey, wait. I wouldn't want to take that away from you, Nolan.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, another thing that we handle, when getting your property rented is, we have a photographer who works with us going out and take professional photos. That's one thing a lot of people, I think, don't think about as much. I see with our properties, when they have nice photos, they rent out so much quicker than the ones that don't, because people can actually imagine themselves like living in the property when you've got nice bright photos where they can kind of see in the photos like, oh, I'd have my couch here and this here and all that here. So that's definitely helpful. And we also help with pricing your property correctly. That's another big
Yeah.
thing, is that you see properties that are either like way overpriced or a lot of times underpriced too. And you could be getting a lot more money
Yeah.
and you don't realize.
Yeah, there was a property that we took over, and they hadn't had a rent raise in like 7 years.
Oh, wow.
5-7 years.
Oh my God.
And we ended up doing when we turned that property, we ended up doing like a $300 plus increase in rent, which that makes the owner very happy. And
I bet it does.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to make more money for our owners.
Yeah.
We're here to help our tenants and ensure they have a good place to stay. But in the end, our mission is to make as much money for our owners as possible.
Right. We work for the owners.
Exactly.
Yeah, and speaking of, working for the owners, another thing that we do is we handle all of the maintenance. Like, we will hand it out to contractors. We coordinate all of that. We also handle those 2 a.m. my faucet's leaking phone calls, which are not fun.
Yeah.
If this guy knows what's up with that. What is the worst, like, late night phone call you've had to deal with?
So I think the worst one that I've ever had was someone came. No, it was on Christmas Eve. We had this was 3 years ago. We had a really hard cold front that moved through, and we had about 6 properties in one night with busted pipes. And one of them was my office at the time.
God.
So the pipes in the unit above my office burst. So there was water pouring down through the ceiling into our office.
Oh, no.
At the same time, there was several other properties that also had busted pipes that between me and Amanda hauling stuff out of our office, I was going to like check on and like get updates and shut off water and that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, and it's freezing outside.
Oh, yeah,
This sounds
yeah.
awful. Oh my God.
So I mean, those weird instances, especially if you have a big cold front or a big hot front come in, you'll just have mass events across multiple properties.
Yeah.
Now, we do have, around 300 units that we manage.
Right.
So we have a lot of units that we're looking at. But, it does happen. We had a sewer backup in the city sewer at one point and so all of the units that were on that line got backed up into as well. That was a fun time had by all.
See, let him handle that, not you.
Yeah,
See?
and that's what we're paid to handle and work with is those events where at 2 a.m, during evictions, during all of the unpleasantness, that we act as a buffer between you and the unpleasantness.
Yeah. Definitely. And then, besides the extravagant events like that, we handle, the day-to-day, the quick little, oh, my dishwasher's leaking, oh, this and that. Those little things add up, and they eat up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
We also handle unit turns whenever a tenant moves out and everything, and I think that's a big one, too, is because sometimes there's a lot of damage. So.
Absolutely. One of the other things that your property management company is going to do is we're going to add a legal buffer between you and your tenants.
Definitely.
So, that could be that we ensure legal compliance with like fair housing.
Right.
It could be that we're going to the eviction proceedings so that you don't have to. And it part of it's our lease.
Yeah.
Our lease. So, for instance, we have our lease reviewed at least once a year by a local attorney, and that regardless of where you are, I would strongly recommend that because laws are always changing. Take the time. It'll cost you a little bit of money, but it's a great practice. At least once a year, take your lease to a local attorney, have them review it, and make sure it's still compliant with the current statutes in your state and wherever you live. Because even in some cities or communities, there may be statutes that modify and add additional requirements for you as a landlord that you need to be aware of.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And being in compliance with fair housing is a huge deal.
We want to talk about those fines.
Yeah. The first
Okay, like we were saying, with fair housing.
Right. So it's crucial that every landlord is aware of the fair housing laws.
Right.
Because on your first violation, it's a $25,000 minimum fine.
Holy crap.
That's more than some people make in a year.
Yeah,
that's
no kidding.
crazy. And if your second violation happens within 5 years, the next violation is $62,500.
Like, can you imagine getting stopped without a fine? Like, you're just starting out with things. You finally just got your property rented and everything, and they say, 25 grand.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, my God.
And then on the third violation, if it happens within 7 years, it's $125,000.
Oh, my gosh.
That's incredible. But,
That's like a really crappy house.
yeah, exactly, absolutely. But it definitely gets your attention.
Yeah, it has mine.
Yeah. So whenever a client's like, hey, I don't want XYZ people around, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I have, we're going to rent to whoever is qualified to rent.
Yeah.
Regardless of any of the other stuff. We're here to find the good, qualified tenant. I don't care if there's any other considerations you have. We're going to follow the law and the statutes. And if you won't or can't do that, God bless you, but you need to move on.
Yeah, definitely. We're not trying to get slapped with crazy fines because you want to be a certain kind of way.
Yeah, exactly. The other area where compliance is, and having an excellent lease in place is super important is when you go. I hope you never have to deal with this, but if you do have to deal with an eviction in the state of Missouri, generally it takes us between 3 to 4 months to evict somebody.
Oh, wow.
Typically, you're not going to be receiving rent during that time, so it's the cost of the eviction plus the cost of 3 to 4 months of vacancy because they're just not going to pay you.
Right.
Ooh, pardon me. But I have heard of examples in the state of Missouri where an eviction took up to 8 months.
Oh my gosh.
But it really varies a lot by state. So if, I was talking to another property manager that is in Louisiana, and they were like, yeah, we can evict someone in 2 weeks to a month. And I was like, wow. And then I talked to someone from California, and they were telling me how they had had an eviction going on for 2 years and they still weren't done yet.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's... Why is it such a difference? Do you know? I know you're not a legal person, but...
Right, so not your attorney.
Not legal advice.
Not legal advice. But my general understanding is that it just comes down to what laws your state or jurisdiction has to protect tenants. And as a general rule, the higher the percentage of people who rent, the stronger those protections are going to be. And the higher the percentage of people that own are, the easier it's going to be to evict. So that's not a guaranteed rule, but it's a generalization that it seems like other people have told me is pretty accurate. So, but yeah, it can be incredibly expensive. And then on top of that, and I'm not trying to scare anyone, but then you have to remediate any damage that they do. And
people getting evicted can be a little vindictive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that's a conversation that we could have for a while, just talking about horror stories from evictions. But it's not the end of the world. Most of the time, they're not that bad.
Right.
But it's never pleasant.
No.
And life happens to everyone. And just because you're having to evict someone, and I've told this to a number of people, listen, yes, I have to evict you, but no, you're not a bad person.
Right.
You just had life happen. And life happens, and that means you need to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
And because one day that could be me.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I try to keep it very dispassionate, and that's also an important thing for owners to remember. It's very helpful to have a certain level of separation between you and your tenants.
Yeah.
Because if you're super close with your tenants and they aren't able to come up with the rent, you become the least of their priorities, right? Whereas if there's kind of some separation there, they understand. So for instance, all my tenants understand that this is a job to me, this is my profession, and if you don't pay your rent, if you don't pay, you don't stay.
Right.
It's unpleasant, but it's part of my job.
Well, and it helps because we can say, this is not my property. This is the owner's property, and I work for the owner.
Yeah.
It's a totally different, I don't totally call the shots here. The owner is calling it. Whereas if they're speaking with the owner directly, they know.
Yeah.
That's the guy who calls the shots. And I'm friendly with that guy.
And
so.
I am continuously surprised at how good of people so many of these owners are. And it tears me up because there was this one tenant that I can remember. She had convinced the owner that she was dying of cancer. She had convinced, the owner had forgiven her a ton of rent and just didn't collect. She had obviously not been paying rent. The owner had brought them Christmas gifts for their kids. Such a wonderful person. And in the end, it turned out that, as far as I know, there was no cancer. There was no illness. She just, figured out that he was a soft touch, and just played him like a fiddle, which is
that's so
tragic.
Messed up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But this doesn't make me sound like a good person, but I mean, I was a sergeant in the infantry, and the core thing about being a sergeant in the infantry is your job is to enforce standards.
Yeah.
By whatever means are at your disposal, and I really kind of brought that to property management. Be polite, be professional,
right?
But at the end of the day, you're going to pay, or you're going to go. So.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that become an issue if you know the tenant too well, for sure. Like you were saying, they're late on rent, eviction. Everything becomes a lot harder if you know the tenant. But.
And when you know a tenant, because I've seen this a lot where the owners needed to evict a tenant. Mm-hmm. I even evicted somebody's child it was the child of the owner. And they were like, "Can you be the bad guy?" I'm like, for 10%, why not?
Sure.
That was kind of an amusing interaction because it doesn't matter, but yeah, you have these weird dynamics whenever you don't want to go to eviction court and be telling your friend to get out,
right?
Or your neighbor or whatever. So we actually have some owners where they actually live in one unit and then we manage the other units, which is amusing because they'll talk about they'll listen to what the tenants are saying about about us, and then they'll tell
knowing.
Because they don't tell their tenants that they're the owners.
Well, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
no,
they're like, oh yeah, this is property management company. They're all really hard about
I would
stuff.
fix my dishwasher.
Yeah, and I'm like,
oh my gosh,
thanks, Mr. Smith.
Right.
But I will say it's an interesting occupation to be in.
Definitely.
I never have the same day twice. But
everything's just a Thursday.
But it's just
a Thursday.
It's just another Thursday.
That's what he tells me every time. I'm like, oh my god, the world's pretty. It's a Thursday, Maddie. Don't worry about it. It's a Thursday.
Right.
Like, oh my god. He's right.
For the tenant or for the owner or the buyer or the seller, it's the end of the world. But for a real estate professional, it's just another Thursday.
Yeah, whatever.
Just another Wednesday. And people pay us for that. Mm-hmm. People need that person in real estate isn't going to get emotionally involved. To them, this is just my job, and I'm going to execute to the best of my ability and protect this person, but I'm not going to let my emotions take over.
Yeah.
And when you're self-managing, that can be a big challenge.
Definitely. Yeah.
I had one owner, he wanted us to take the doors off of a house so that the tenant would leave. And I'm like, no.
I don't think you can do that.
You absolutely can't do that. No, that's a huge violation.
That's crazy. Imagine if he for real went through with that and like they just wake up and all their doors are gone.
Yeah. So yeah, this gentleman was a bit old school. He was like in his 80s, and he really did not understand why you can't just like force people to go. And I'm like, because there's something called laws. So our job is to stand between owners and bad decisions sometimes, and sometimes it's to give the owners, and it's always to give the owners the right tools to accomplish their goal in the legal correct way.
Yes, the legal correct way. We like that. Do you have anything else you think would be good to add to the conversation, or?
Oh, lots and lots, but
but
that can wait till another day.
Okay. All right. Well, if that is everything, then thank you guys for watching. And remember, whether you are a first-time home buyer or an experienced investor, we've got the knowledge and the experience to guide you every step of the way. I'm Madison Alexander.
I'm Nolan Brooks, and our contact information is below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a tip, tour, or update. Until next time, I'm Nolan Brooks.